Welcome to SABC News. You're watching SA Today. Let's cross live to that conference that is currently taking place in Limpopo in Pule, the ANC conference. Currently, ANC spokesperson Pule Mabe is speaking to the media.
We're mainly supposed to be delegates coming from branches. So credentials are going to be adopted. Now, the next step, once you have adopted credentials, is you now move into the elective part of conference. You can first start with the organizational report, which needs to be received by properly accredited delegates from branch general meetings, or in this instance, biannual BGMs, which shall have mandated delegates for that purpose. That's one. The second issue that you will do is that you will begin nominations for your top 5. You'll have to first deal with those that will have qualified from branches to stand in this conference. Once that has been done, if there is a contest that necessitates the printing of a ballot, ASA will then begin with that work. I'm sure at that stage, certain parts of the program would then be unfolding. Conference will have determined at what point does voting begin. But as you have seen with the keynote address of the Secretary General, Ace Makashule, conference is in session. It began yesterday. It went on until the early hours of this morning. We must commend the over 80% of the delegates who were here till the early hours of this morning, and almost the entirety of those who are supposed to be here, who are here again today, to make sure that they protect the continuation of this provincial conference. Now, one of the interesting issues that the Secretary General has raised is that people must make sure that they use internal remedies, like the National Dispute Resolution Committee, to make sure that they can facilitate resolution to their own challenges or problems that might be occurring. Actually, another interesting side issue is to begin getting closer to the political party funding bill, to check if it is not possible through the parliamentary process to introduce in there a bill that allows or enforces disclosure on the part of those who go or take political parties to court, so that big organizations like the ANC are not liquidated by some faceless agents who are unknown. So we need to know that if Sam Kerr or Thengi or anyone goes to court, we must know what is your source of funding. Because one, it costs a bit of money to bring forward an agent application. We must know this because we are now expected by the people of South Africa to disclose our donors. We must also, those who donate money to political parties. It is a ruling of the Constitutional Court. It would be interesting to also establish who are these people putting a lot of money, sometimes billions of rands, towards those who take political parties, especially the ANC, to court. Because this could just be agents acting to liquidate the organization. As matters stand, and from what the Secretary General has said, when you are done with the court process and we prove that you did not exhaust all internal remedies to find solutions to your problems, we'll also have to check if we can't at least test your conduct through the disciplinary code of conduct of the African National Congress. In this regard, we have enforced or empowered the NDC and all subsequent structures that are charged with the responsibility of facilitating good discipline and good conduct amongst members to begin dealing with some of those gray areas. Because if we don't do that, then it means the decision we took to establish the National Dispute Resolution Committee at the 54th National Conference lack some teeth. So we need to encourage our members to use those structures, exhaust whatever platforms that are available to resolve their problems.
Just to ask you a more direct question, not to take everything from my colleagues.
Yes.
Is this not a failure from the ANC's part? Because large and foremost, these members, as Ace Makashule says, have no money, even 100 rands in their bank accounts.
Yes.
Subsequently means you as ANC leaders are fighting factional battles using your own members. How come you cannot find where this money comes from? I
think you must use the word those ANC leaders, because the people who are here, their number far supersedes those that are in court. This now begins to tell you, so I can share a very simple example with you. When I stood as president of the Youth League at the 24th conference that was stopped in 2014, it never even occurred to me that I can take the ANC to court for having stopped that conference. We didn't do that. We acceded and submitted to the guidance and directive of the African National Congress not to proceed with that national conference. So when people lack discipline, we can't use that ill discipline and submitting to be used by those who might be having fat pockets to destabilize the African National Congress. What the ANC needs to be doing is to act with speed to make sure that it applies its own code of conduct, including firing people if it is proven that they did not exhaust internal remedies to find solution. We are serious about making sure that we take the African National Congress forward. What the SG has said, the immediate task for the ANC is to make sure that we prepare all of our structures for the forthcoming national conference.
What are your expectations for the court case that's actually sitting in the South Gauteng High Court right now?
Well, you can see, Natasha, we are here. We are proceeding with conference. We have got our legal team who assist with arguing on our behalf, matters of legalities and substance and all of that. Well, the court has been made aware that conference already began last night. So you guys know that, I saw from the video clips that I saw, there was even a lonely microphone of ENCA on stage, which showed that there was some bit of coverage here and there, but also we have used various of social media platforms. Because these days, even if a journalist could be sleeping for whatever reasons because it's late, we also post. The DIP team has been posting and putting pictures and showing you, that the mood was that of making sure that conference proceeds. So there's never been a challenge.
Did it not occur to your minds to halt the conference and attend to the court processes first and then proceed once the court has ruled?
Busy. We're very busy here. So we're proceeding with conference as the Secretary General has said. BGM by Michel branch. Otherwise, we are not a stop and go organization. We're not running construction here. We are processing a revolution. That's what we are doing. So you can see our comrades are busy singing. They are ready. They have their discussion documents here. They are going to have to say what is the Limpopo view on this issue of expropriating land without compensation, because Limpopo is rich with a lot of endowments. Limpopo has got game, Limpopo has got mineral reserves, Limpopo has got all of that. But the people of Limpopo are progressive. Like all the people of South Africa, the people of KwaZulu-Natal, of Gauteng, those that are sometimes get to be frustrated by those who want to halt the revolution through courts. That's why we must check who is funding them, because this could be a third force working to halt and liquidate our revolution. The ANC must never allow that.
Pule, what do you expect to act against those people who are in court?
Well, the Secretary General, when the Secretary General speaks, he makes directives to our structures. The directive that he has issued to structures is through the NDC and subsequent structures that are expected to mete out discipline. It doesn't matter whether we win or lose in court. The ANC has got its own rule book. The laws that people are reliant on, Section 17 of the South African Constitution, which empowers people to associate with organizations. One of the things it stresses out is that when you associate with an organization, you also agree or abide yourself by the rules of that organization. You can't work Klengiwe for the City Press and not allow yourself to be governed by the code of conduct of the City Press. If City Press say, Klengi, you are arriving at work from 8 to 4 every day, the expectation is that you must be at work at those times. If you are not at work or the times that have been outlined, you ought to give some sort of a reason that why didn't you make it to work at those times. So we are expecting our members to carry themselves in the most orderly manner. Actually, one of the things that we're doing in the African National Congress is to roll out a political education program so that we can begin inculcating in our members a great sense of conscious, because we might be blaming members when all they lack could just be issues of conscience. So while we use the code of conduct, at the other point, we also need to make sure that we reinforce consciousness and make sure that our members appreciate that being a member of the ANC is pride. It's not easy to just be a member of the ANC. It's pride. I mean, people are fighting in certain communities just for their membership to be accepted in the African National Congress. Now, when you are a member of the ANC, yes, well, we might have to stop now. Conference is proceeding, comrades. You must stay around so that the newly elected chair can speak to you at some point. Yes.
Just wrapping up that press briefing with the media just outside of that conference in Limpopo and Polokwane. Let's cross